So this is the next series of techniques that are going on blue to green, and this is what we call the second dawn or second five. First one is cutting the pagoda, and this is a right punch coming at us, probably from a fairly big opponent, taller than we are. Probably 90% of people who would come in and try and hit us or strike us are going to be bigger than we are. So there's a big guy coming in with a right punch. What we're going to do is take our left foot, and we're going to step in to about 11 o'clock on the clock. So not straight ahead, but a little bit to your left into a horse stance. So we're having the punch come at us. We're stepping in with our left foot, not directly in, but a little bit to the side into a horse stance. That's step one. As we go in, this hand comes into a good guard position, and left arm does an upward block. This is one of the only techniques we have that uses an upward block right off the bat. So as the punch comes toward our head, this is stopping it from hitting, and it's driving it over the head. And we're moving in and a little bit to the side to get offline, but we're basically jamming our opponent. So we're going toward him. This comes up as a guard, and we're knocking his arm up, and we're really close to the opponent. Basically, we're a little bit to his side, and he's right in front. Now, we got his arm up out of the way, exposes his right rib cage. So what we're going to do is turn into a right hard bow. Using this front part of the elbow, we're going to fire an elbow into the ribs and then across the ribs. So it's going to hit in and then go through. We call it a glancing blow. So we knocked his arm up. The ribs are open. We turn into the hard bow, elbow through the ribs. The other hand comes back into a set position as we're doing that first elbow. And then what we're going to do is shift to a left hard bow and drive another elbow, this time hitting the other side of the rib cage with our left elbow. And we're turning our body all the way into a left hard bow. So there's a pretty big rotation of the upper body into the right hard bow, turning the shoulder and hip all the way, and then into the left hard bow, reversing that direction, and that's causing a tremendous amount of power. If you had to break through a series of boards or bricks, and you had to choose a weapon that would give you the most power, a really good option would be a hammer fist, but even a stronger way to do it is to use an elbow. Because whenever you have the lever close in toward the trunk, you have a lot more ability to go through a target. And in this instance, that's what we're trying to do. We're not trying to impart a bunch of force and snap back, but we're trying to go into the rib cage and through the ribs. Since the ribs are flexible, we have to have a type of weapon system that can go in deep and go through to cause the most damage. So this is called cutting the pagoda. So we're stepping in, the left foot, 11 o'clock, upward block, then hard bow, elbow through the ribs, then a left hard bow, and a left elbow through the ribs. The two hands come to our right side and do what we call hidden hand technique, meaning that our hands are back where the opponent can't see them. And then from the hard bow, you're going to pivot into a horse to turn your hip as you fire a right punch directly into the guy's head. As you fire it, though, you also do an outward block. So as you're turning, you're firing an outward block and a punch as you pivot into the horse. The outward block will just clear away anything that might be in the way. If his arm's still dangling, you have to open up a head target. So the outward block helps to open him up as you're turning and firing the punch. That's the end of the technique, and you're just going to cover back cat horse. So it's called cutting the pagoda. The idea of the technique is to close in on your opponent, to get really close, and then to use very powerful weapons to stun the guy and get his head and his hands to drop, and then finally to strike the head. Normally in self-defense you want to go for the head right off the bat because it's the quickest way to end the fight. But in this instance we can't because his arm is up high and we have to get underneath and do what's unconventional, attack the lower targets to allow the head to come down, and then we're going to go right into the head, either into the nose or the temple or the jaw. That's cutting the pagoda.